The rise of Mark Grayson as the new Viltrumite leader was not just about power. Instead, it was about sacrifice and revenge, and the impossible challenge of taking down Thragg, the deadliest Viltrumite Emperor he had ever faced. And in the end, it all came at a price. For years, the Viltrumites were led by a powerful warrior. His name was Thragg, who was trained for battle and domination. He was the Empire's greatest warrior and was trained from birth to be its leader. But after being defeated by Nolan and losing his empire, he declared war to take the Empire back. The war began when Thragg finally returned to take the revenge. The exiled Viltrumite Emperor returned with an unstoppable force. He had spent years breeding an army of hybrid warriors, stronger, faster, and bred for one only purpose: reclaiming the Viltrum Empire. His return ignited a brutal war, one that tore across planets and left devastation in its way. The Viltrumites under Nolan's command fought back, but Thragg and his hybrid army was something very brutal. He was not just looking to win, he wanted to eradicate every last traitor. As the battle raged across in the dark space, the first person Thragg sought out was Nolan Grayson, the man who had taken his empire. Nolan fought with everything he had, his fists shattering asteroids and his strength pushing beyond his limits. But Thragg was stronger and faster, and worst of all, he had no mercy. It was the final clash of the Titans. And in one devastating moment, Thragg drove his fist straight through Nolan's body, tearing him brutally. Blood spilled into the void of space as Nolan gasped. His strength faded and his body was barely holding together after that critical hit. When Mark saw his father barely alive, something inside him shattered. A brutal wave of trauma crashed over him, twisting into an uncontrollable storm of rage. In that moment, nothing else existed. Only the burning need for revenge took over his mind. With pure rage fueling him, he launched himself at Thragg, striking with everything he had. The force of their clash shook the void of space, sending shockwaves across the battlefield. Mark was fighting like a madman, but Thragg, he was a monster. Every time Mark threw a punch, Thragg hit back even harder. His ribs were cracking, his body was bleeding, but he kept fighting. Then all of a sudden, Mark did something insane. He grabbed Thragg and dragged him toward the sun. They crashed onto the boiling surface of the sun. He wanted to burn Thragg alive. The moment they hit the sun's surface, the pain was unimaginable. Their skin sizzled, their muscles tore apart. It should have been a death sentence. Mark could barely move. The unbearable heat was draining his strength. Thragg, though wounded, still had the upper hand. He was built differently, stronger than any Viltrumite before him. With an unshaken resolve, he prepared to end it once and for all. And then something unexpected happened. Robot had been watching from afar. After seeing Mark struggle, he deployed a special suit towards him, one that could withstand the sun's heat. Mark barely managed to put it on, and with it, he felt a new surge of strength. The battle became even more brutal. The sun's gravity pulled them in deeper. Thragg, despite all his strength, was now starting to slow down. His body was no longer at its peak. Mark saw this golden chance. With one final brutal move, Mark tore into Thragg's throat, ripping it out. Thragg's body was becoming lifeless, and he was finally defeated, sinking deeper into the burning sun. The heat and the wounds, and the exhaustion, it all consumed him. Thragg's body disintegrated, reduced to nothing but ash. The war was over. Mark barely had the strength to move. He was floating, his body ruined. His mind was on the verge of shutting down. That's when Alex arrived, pulling him away from the burning battlefield, carrying him to safety. But as they returned to the fleet, reality set in. Nolan was still alive but was taking his last breaths. Mark rushed to his father's side, desperate but deep down, he knew there was nothing he could do. With weak breaths, Nolan looked at his son. He had fought his last battle. He had seen Mark grow, seen him stand against impossible odds. And now, he would see him become something greater. With his final moments, Nolan asked Mark to take the leadership of the Viltrumites. Mark hesitated, saying he wasn't ready for such a responsibility, but Nolan, with a reassuring look, told him that he was ready more than he ever realized. With his last breath, he left the future of their people in his son's hands. Mark had won, but the cost was everything. The Viltrumites had a new leader. The war was over. But ruling an empire, that was a challenge that would test Mark in ways he could never imagine. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more comic stories.